Sri Rajgachajasto Tarasatta Sri Srimad, His Divine Grace, Teraboy Charanarvani Bhakti Vedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada ki, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki, Skandi Biti, Founder Acharyas, Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada ki, Namacharya, Srila Haridas Thakur ki, Samavata Bhakti Vrinda ki, Harinam Sankirtan ki, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Jai Nitai Gaura Premanande. Glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and to Sri Gauranga, all glories to Sri Prabhupada ki. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shakaya Daksurinmilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Parakamalam Sri Gurun Vaisnavam Sya Sri Rupam Sagradatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Sri Visakan Vitam Scha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisa Gopika Kanta Radha Tute Daptakan Angi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutidevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vansakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narotamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiyaya. Before reciting this Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, let us first offer our respectful obeisances unto Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Nara, Narayana Rishi, the most human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Prayasha Badreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Tamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. By regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering a service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome within the heart that becomes destroyed practically to nil, and loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, whose praise with transcendental songs becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahma Samhitam Uttama Shloka Charitam Chakara Bhagavan Rishi Nishreya Sayalokasya Dhanyam Swasyayanam Mahat. This Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Grantaraj, the king of all Vedic literatures, is the literary incarnation of God. It is compiled by the incarnation of God, Srila Vyasadeva. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people. It is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhara, Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Sarabhyai Namaha. Om Sarabhyai Namaha. Om Sarabhyai Namaha. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yatripa tamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam Yatkripa tamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam. Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone to our morning Bhagavatam class, continuing chapter 8, canto number 1, chapter entitled Prayers by Queen Kunti Devi. Yesterday we read 44, so today is 45. Tam Badham iti upamantriya pravishya gajasavayam striyas cha sva putram yasyan premna rajna nivaritaha. Tam badham ityupamantriya pravishya gajasavayam striyascha svapuram yasyan premna rajna nivaritaha. Tam badam ityupamantriya. When there are two vowels, Y and U, we don't say iti you, we say itu. This is one of the different rules that are there. We don't say iti upa, we say ityupa. Yeah. Tam badam ityupa mantriya. Pravishya gajasavayam. Striyascha svapuram yasyan. Premna rajna nivaritaha. Tam badam ityupa mantriya. Pravishya gajasavayam. Shreyascha svapuram yasyan. Premna rajna nivaritaha. Tambadam ityupamantriya. Pravishya gajasavayam. Shriyascha svapuram yasyan. Premna rajna nivaritaha. Tambadam ityupamantriya.
Pravishya gajasavayam. Priyasya svapuram yasyan.
Shriyascha svapuram yasyan.
Premna rajna nivarita.
Premna rajna nivaritaha. Tambadam ityupamantriya. Pravishya gajasavayam. Shriyascha svapuram yasyan. Premna rajna nivaritaha. Tambadam ityupamantriya pravishya gajasabhayam triyasya svapuram yasyan premna rajna nivaritaha. And last, too much sunlight, huh? Okay, tam, all those, badam, accepted, iti, thus, upamantriya, subsequently informed, pravishya, entering, gajasabhayam, the palace of Hastinapura, sriyahacha, other ladies, swapuram, own residence, yasyan, while starting for, premna, with love, rajna, by the king, nivaritaha, stopped. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. And thus, accepting the praise of Srimati Kunti Devi, the Lord subsequently informed other ladies of his departure by entering the palace of Hastinapura. But upon preparing to leave, he was stopped by King Yudhishthira, who implored him lovingly. Kindly repeat after me. Thus, accepting the prayers of Srimati Kunti Devi, the Lord subsequently informed other ladies of his departure by entering the palace of Hastinapura. But upon preparing to leave, he was stopped by King Yudhishthira, who implored him lovingly. Yes. Purport. No one could make Lord Krishna stay at Hastinapura when he decided to start for Dwarka. But the simple request of King Yudhishthira that the Lord remain there for a few more days was immediately effective. This signifies that the power of King Yudhishthira was loving affection, which the Lord could not deny. The Almighty God is thus conquered only by loving service and nothing else. He is fully independent in all his dealings, but he voluntarily accepts obligations by the loving affection of his pure devotees. Translation again. Thus, accepting the prayers of Srimati Kunti Devi, the Lord subsequently informed other ladies of his departure by entering the palace of Hastinapura. But upon preparing to leave, he was stopped by King Yudhishthira, who implored him lovingly. So Queen Kunti Devi is not the only one trying to stop Krishna from leaving Hastinapur and going back to Dwarka. And in the verses to come, actually, there will be more insight given as to why Yudhishthira Maharaj was very much aggrieved. He was very much aggrieved. Actually, this is all in preparation also for the next chapter, which will be the passing away of Bhishmadev. So Even ordinary war is very tragic in so many ways. So the war or the Battle of Kurukshetra was on a scale that is difficult for us to imagine, where it is said millions. What's the actual number of of men who died on the battlefield of Kurukshetra? It's in the millions. Um, and Yudhisthira Maharaj mm, was feeling very sad, very despondent, because the primary reason for the Battle of Kurukshetra was to reestablish proper king, means Yudhisthira Maharaj, but at what cost, isn't it? At the cost of so many lives. And so in the verses to come, Yudhisthira Maharaj will be explaining, will be revealing his feelings, his sentiments. And of course, Prabhupada is already telling us that because of that very loving affection that was expressed by Yudhisthira Maharaj, Krishna actually decided to stay a few more days. And of course, although the Battle of Kurukshetra was ended, Grandfather Bhishma Dev was still lying on his bed of arrows. So that's a whole other lila that is coming up, and that is the next chapter. So Prabhupada is pointing out how that is the only way we can actually attract the attention of Krishna. That is the only way that devotees can actually in some inconceivable way control the Lord, in terms of, although he is fully independent, but he responds proportionately to the feelings of affection. He responds to to his devotees who are fully dedicated and fully surrendered to him. So actually, in the prayers that we have just heard, prayers from Queen Kunti Devi, she's revealing her mind, isn't it? And Yudhisthira Maharaj will likewise, in the pages to come, in the verses to come, be also revealing his mind. And this is one of the important instructions that we find in the Nectar and Instruction, isn't it? Upadeshamrita by Srila Rupa Goswami. The devotees should exchange, isn't it? Should interact by offering gifts to other devotees, by receiving gifts, by rendering service. And one of the important aspects, which in Kali Yuga is probably very difficult to do, it's never easy to do, because number one, we have to find a right candidate to whom we can reveal our mind to. And secondly, we have to be understanding this important principle of expressing one's thoughts, one's feelings, because ultimately this is what Krishna is especially attracted to, isn't it? The pastimes of Vrindavan are full of wonderful descriptions of exchanges, isn't it? Loving exchanges. So part of these loving exchanges have to do with really revealing um, one's feelings, uh, and in this way, this helps to further um, uh, deepen our relationship. It's just like in the material world, people who will come together, who will um, who will be attracted by some features or some aspects of another person, then it takes some time to actually, they will be discussing, they will be uh, knowing one another. Part of that knowing one another will be to express their sentiments and their feelings. Mm. So mm, this is what Krishna is especially attracted to when his devotees, with a pure heart, uh, express their loving feelings um, towards him. And Prabhupada actually in one lecture explains how this is uh, the mood and the mentality. There's a constant competition between the Lord and his devotees. The devotees are trying to please the Lord um, by speaking and by uh, performing different activities of devotional service. And the Lord is accordingly reciprocating with his devotee. It means it is very unique actually, in very unique feature of what we call the Krishna conscious philosophy, which has been especially, we could say, revealed. It's amazing how in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, we have been reading this section about Lord Chaitanya, his ecstatic dancing in Rath Yatra. And in one section, it speaks about, because the whole lila in dancing in front of Lord Jagannath is Lord Chaitanya expressing his feelings, um, who is actually, very, very elevated um, and very confidential feelings as well, that cannot be so easily understood by uh, even by devotees. Um, so mm, yeah, the point I was wanting to make is in that description. At one point, Prabhupada expresses how, yeah, very nicely put. Um, this section about Lord Chaitanya wanting to distribute the fruits of love of Godhead. And Prabhupada explains that actually these fruits of love of Godhead, first of all, were brought to Navadvip by Lord Chaitanya after he received initiation from Ishwarapuri. Because Ishwarapuri was a disciple of Madhavendra Puri. And then Srila Prabhupada explains, our Acharyas explains, that actually it was from Madhavendra Puri that these very profound, very deep, and very confidential feelings and sentiments and understanding of personal relationship between the Lord and his devotees, especially between the Lord and the gopis of Vrindavan, and in particular between the Lord and Srimati Radharani, were actually revealed. Before that, it was like concealed. So in other words, yeah, it's nice to explain how Lord Chaitanya, um, isn't it, after wonderfully described, after receiving mantra, after receiving initiation, he became like a different person. And he came back to Navadvip. And he was totally had a lover of God, of Krishna, and his students, because he was teaching, they had a hard time. They thought he'd gone mad. In one sense, yes, he became mad after Krishna. So all of this was contained here in Mayapur, in Navadvip, and this was taken actually by Lord Chaitanya to Jagannath Puri. And so many exalted personalities actually joined Lord Chaitanya. And then, of course, as we know, from Jagannath Puri, all of this was actually transferred to Vrindavan. When Lord Chaitanya sent his most confidential associates, the Goswamis, to Vrindavan, one after another, beginning with Rupa and Sanatan Goswami. And he requested them, as we know, to further excavate the jewels that are hidden, that have been hidden. God, we cannot estimate. Before Madhavendra Puri, that's not just a few hundred years ago, people did not have this understanding of Radha and Krishna in the manner that has been actually presented and revealed by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and the essence of which actually is on the level of being very personal, because Krishna is a person. And that's unique in our Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. And it's the most difficult thing, actually, because this is where the vast majority of living entities, that's why we're here in the material world, we're blocked. Our feelings, our original feelings are blocked, are covered due to ahankar, false ego, due to the constant attack from the modes of material nature, that for so many lifetimes we have been influenced, we've been conditioned, heavily conditioned. Therefore, it is not at all easy. But that is the beginning level, the beginning stage that we have to overcome in order to progress. That is the level of sambandha, relationship. Relationship means exchange, isn't it? As Prabhupada would say, don't speak about love, or you cannot have love unless there are two, isn't it? The lover and the beloved. So all the living entities actually are the beloved devotees of the Lord, the beloved servants of the Lord, and He is anxious to reawaken, reestablish. It's just like sometimes people, again, I mean, we take examples from our experience in the material world. People have some misunderstanding. They break up, and maybe they break up for some time, and then at some point they again make up, although it's very difficult. So those who were close to Lord Krishna when he was enacting his pastimes in Vrindavan, and then later on in Mathura, and then Dwarka, the Pandavas had so many years of intimate, very close relationship. So actual relationship, actual association must come to the point, even though it is difficult, to the point of expressing our thoughts, maybe initially in the form of questions, and gradually, slowly venturing to express our feelings, our emotions. But that is generally, especially very, let's say, confidential subject matters, just like we know how in Vrindavan, actually in Jagannath Puri, rather, that Lord Chaitanya only such kind of very deep discussions with two personalities who were on that level of consciousness, Swarup Damodar and Ramananda Rai. Um, so, although that's a basic principle to reveal one's mind, we should uh, learn how this can be done. But we all have that ability. We all have that natural desire and inclination. And in our dealings amongst devotees, we need to kind of um, develop, develop. It's part of developing relationship, isn't it? Mm. Devotees are meant to establish and intensify their loving relationships with one another, and that especially is demonstrated in our different activities of seva, of devotional service. So, of course, the Pandavas, especially, they were headed by Yudhisthira, who was the eldest, and everyone, looked upon him as their guide. So he did so many services uh, to please Krishna, and Krishna was very obliged to him, and so much so that actually upon the request, because Yudhisthira Maharaj was still in that mode of, you know, anxiety, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, in connection with the Battle of Kurukshetra. And so this is like preparing the stage, so to speak, for this, we could say, final lila of the Battle of Kurukshetra, which will be the passing away of grandfather Bhishmadev. And one of the main reasons, which we will be reading about, was that Lord Krishna wanted that Yudhisthira Maharaj specifically hear from this great personality, grandfather Bhishmadev, and he wanted to glorify at the same time his devotee, who is in a most unusual, uncomfortable situation on a bed of arrows. I mean, we get one arrow, we get a mosquito bite, we become disturbed. What to speak of an arrow? Most people who might get an arrow on their body, they'll faint, or uh, they'll be screaming in agony. So, of course, this is all part of pastime. So this is the verse we have read here. I'll just repeat it here once again. Thus, accepting the prayers of Srimati Kunti Devi, the Lord subsequently informed other deities of his departure by entering the palace of Hastinapur. But upon preparing to leave, he was stopped by King Yudhisthira, who implored him lovingly. Lovingly, important word. Yeah.
I don't understand Krishna's logic or Krishna's way of thinking, because in the culture, it's not like he's just leaving after asking permission from the ladies. He is very much close to Yudhisthira. Why not he's going to Yudhisthira? And then there is Bhishma Dev, so Krishna knows that he will not leave. Why he's playing that leaving Lila? Do you know something?
Krishna's pastimes are inconceivable. But yeah, one would wonder, because he knows that, his very dear devotee, Bhishmadev, is on the bed of arrows. And yeah, here it just mentions about, normally if you leave a place, you go and see the head person. So maybe, I don't know, maybe he first, ladies first. He went to see the ladies with the intention of maybe, you know, I mean, I can't imagine that he would leave Hastinapur without seeing Yudhishthira Maharaj, which is what the point you're making. So I mean, you know, not all of the details are necessarily put in the pages. It would be interesting to again to read some of the commentaries of our acharyas who probably had this, who may have some insight um, on this point. I would think that he went to see the ladies with the idea that, you know, because Yudhishthira Maharaj is the emblem of Vaishnav etiquette and culture. So definitely he would not leave Hastinapur without seeing Yudhishthira Maharaj. So here basically it's telling, it doesn't say that he had no intention to see Yudhishthira Maharaj, but it doesn't say specifically that he was on his way to see Yudhishthira Maharaj also. It just mentions that after hearing from Queen Kunti Devi, then he went to the palace to say farewell to the ladies, and maybe after meeting with the ladies, then Yudhishthira Maharaj, hey, in case you're forgetting me, which I'm sure Krishna would not forget. I mean, that's my kind of small insight on the matter. I've not read the commentaries to know if there's anything else. Yeah.
We can say for that, what was the reason? Because he was householder. Being householder, he has to take permission from elders. So, first of all, approaching to Yudhishthira Maharaj, he approached Kunti Maharaj.
No, she approached him. Kunti Devi approached him.
Yeah, but upon leaving, he has taken permission from first of all Kunti Devi.
No, the idea is that I guess we would have to know more details of exactly how it happened that Queen Kunti Devi began speaking with him. But everyone, you know, the battle of Kurukshetra is over, and reason for Krishna participating was, you know, to reestablish Yudhishthira Maharaj, and so it's kind of like his business, his work, his seva is finished. So then, you know, Queen Kunti, again, we'd have to go back maybe to find out exactly how it happened.
It was he that when Lord Krishna, as he started for home.
As he started for home, yeah.
What is his home?
His home is Dwarka.
Yeah, but from the Brahmastra situation. So he saved the Parikshit and he was starting to home without.
Well, I mean, starting from home.
Or to have a luggage packed together or inform
we don't have
servants. So
we don't have those details.
Yeah.
Right, we don't have the details.
but
I
somehow
mean, we could.
Kunti Devi understood that his
Yeah,
is,
right. Yeah, I mean, the last crisis that was, you know, affecting the very lives and survival of the Kuru dynasty was to save Parikshit Maharaj. So Krishna did that. Okay, my job is finished. So a personality like Queen Kunti Devi could sense, okay, he's going to leave us now. And then she just very spontaneously began to express her feelings, her sentiments, and the whole series of prayers. And then and then she knows that he has to go, and he's preparing to go. So the Lord heard her prayers and consoled her. And then now, after speaking to Queen Kunti Devi, a lady, he's seeing the other ladies to kind of, you know, console them. And maybe he's on his way to see, you know, Yudhishthira Maharaj, but here just mentions that after meeting with the ladies in Hastinapur, then Yudhishthira Maharaj and him met. We don't know the details of how that exactly happened. And then there's a conversation that we'll see in the next verses to come, where Yudhishthira Maharaj is expressing to him his feelings um, about being very despondent and very morose and feeling very guilty. He's taking it personally, like this. So Krishna will have to do something. Of course, Prabhupada already mentioned in the purport here that because of this very deep loving affection on the part of Yudhishthira Maharaj, that Krishna decided. So Prabhupada is kind of like going a little bit ahead here, a little ahead of the story, by telling that Krishna decided to stay a few more days. And part of that staying a few more days will be to go and see Grandfather Bhishma Dev, isn't it? And once Grandfather Bhishma Dev pacifies and brings up the spirit of Yudhishthira Maharaj and tells him that, listen, now all the bad feelings you may have, etc., like this is part of dharma. You have to be responsible as a king, and that's sometimes wars are there, so you should not feel negative and bad about the whole situation. You take up your role as not only the king but the emperor of the world. And so like this, he will be pacifying Yudhishthira Maharaj. Then Bhishma Dev, he will leave the body. Then there aren't too many reasons for Krishna to stay back after that. Then he will leave for Hastinapur. Yeah.
Bhishmadev was on arrows bed.
Bed of arrows.
Bed of arrows.
Yes.
Since how long he had been after Kurukshetra?
Good question. Quite a few days, maybe a few weeks. I don't know exactly.
That was in the day of when the sun turned from the south side of the north, means this something is March.
Right.
Mid of March means this
February actually.
February. Sometimes. Kurukshetra will start it at December.
It's always actually 15th of February, Uttarayana, when the sun starts to go in the northern direction. It's always actually 15th of February, yeah. Sometimes the 14th, but generally it's 15th of February, which is a big celebration. And yes, so as you mentioned, from December, like maybe close to 2 months.
Yeah, sometime beginning of December. So at the end of December was stopped the bath, and that is 1 or 2 months.
Correct. So quite some time. Huh?
Bhishma Ekadashi. That day is
Bhishma Dev Ekadashi.
Bhishma Dev Ekadashi is there. That day is Bhishma.
So there is this funeral ceremonies.
Yeah.
Everything takes time. There is a lot of person died there, so it's not
Yeah.
like one person you make a funeral ceremony.
A lot.
You have to,
A lot of cleanup
yeah.
after the battle. Kurukshetra, yeah. Yes. So, yeah, because we have. Oh, by the way, we have. What is it? Okay. At 10 o'clock this morning, we're having Janeshwar, who is a photographer. He'll be coming to take some photos and whatnot. We're going to be having a short. We can close the class actually. Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam. Jai Sridham.